right, I have Jacob Deppmeyer on the show now, who's coming off another round one finish, bringing his record to 2-0 as a professional, most notably here at NEF 44, a win over Aaron Hughes. Jacob, how are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, man, and you looked fantastic. I was cage side when you fought Carl Langston, making your pro debut. You looked great there. You looked fantastic this past Saturday night. I mean, I think you're someone that really the New England fight scene can get behind as a real contender here. Do you feel like this was almost like a statement win for you here over Aaron?
I don't want to say it was a statement. It's just, it's another fight to add, to the record. There's lots more opponents. So, a statement hasn't been made yet. I'll make that known. But this fight was more just finding, the switch. I've always walked into the cage with a little bit of hesitation and a little bit of fear, behind me. And this time, the last two fights, it's, I'm finding that calm, finding that switch and knowing, I've done what I needed to do to, get the job done and having, full faith in myself. And, so far, it's worked out.
You really look to have an awful lot of power, especially for this weight class. Is that something that your coaches, John Rayo, your teammates, are telling you when they're seeing you inside of camp?
They like me at 45. I keep telling them I want to go, maybe go up a weight class or two, but as we saw with Corson, size matters. So, but yeah, they say I have some, some pretty good power, but everything's a work in progress, man. Can't stick to just one thing. So
what's the biggest you get? Like, what's the heaviest you get if you're maybe not even in camp and you're eating like you want to eat? Like, how big do you get?
The biggest I got was 175, which was for this camp. I had to lose 35 pounds. And that was tough because normally, I'm in camp, I'm, going balls to the walls all the time. I stay around like 155. So, it's an easy cut. I don't have to do any water dropping or anything like that. And this camp, I really had to restrict myself on what was going on.
Yeah, I can only imagine. What was the game plan heading in here against Aaron? I don't know if you saw an interview he did prior to this fight, but he was very confident. He said he was going to expose you. And I mean, I saw him before the fight walking around, man. He looked like, he was on cloud nine, just walked supremely confident. Did you see that? Did it bother you? And what was the game plan headed in against Aaron?
So the game plan was for me to pick him apart, not headhunt, go for the extremities, beat his body down to the point where, he's not able to defend himself, and then go for the win. That obviously didn't happen, but that's fighting. But seeing him, from weigh-ins and before the fight, during the med checks and everything, he was very tense. He was very tense and fidgety. And I told myself, I'm like, you're going to exhaust yourself before the fight, man. You're jumping all over the place. And I mean, to each their own, maybe that's how he hypes himself up and gets himself ready. Can't rag on somebody for that. But personally, getting yourself psyched up, having that adrenaline going and then coming down and then going back into it, that can be exhausting. And so I was looking at that as an opportunity that he might be tired and, hesitant when he gets in there.
Did you get a chance to talk to him afterwards? I know, like, when you get to the level that you guys are at and you're professionals, it means so much to you. So when you do lose, it's got to be devastating. And I know, he took it pretty hard. It looked like inside of the cage. Did you talk to him afterwards? What was that conversation like?
Yeah, before and after. He's a great guy. Sweet. He didn't have anything, mean to say or anything like that. And afterwards, yeah, we talked for a minute. He, expressed that, it sucks that he lost, and he was ready to go in there and, work his technical striking and stuff. He said his coaches said I was going to, come out, balls to the walls. And when I didn't, it threw him off, and he wasn't expecting, the clench, he said the clench power or whatever that I had. So he tried to keep me at distance, but the pressure, got to him a little bit. But we shook hands and gave each other a hug, and it's just a learning experience. That's all this is. Win or lose, you got to take the good and bad out of it. So yeah, hopefully the preparation for his next camp gives him the win.
What is it like being one of the last people to make the walk to the cage and fight, and having to hear all the people screaming, all the fights going on? Is it nerve wracking? Do you wish that you were one of the first ones fighting? Run me through what that's like mentally.
So beforehand, like with my previous fights, when it was later in the night, it was definitely more nerve wracking. And that's where that calm, I was getting myself psyched up every time before I'd get into the cage. And like I said, that's exhausting. So for this one, it was really finding, being okay with it. And where the pressure I felt came was that it was the last MMA pro fight, and Josh's opponent dropped out. So I was just like, oh, okay, well, I better put on a show or do something, make it worth people coming out this far, So I did feel a little bit of pressure in the beginning, but once I put the gloves on and cleared my mind, I wasn't thinking about that. But that definitely was a thought earlier in the day when I found that out. I was like, oh crap.
Well, you clearly went in there and did your thing, man. What did you and the first class team think of the venue? I mean, the only negative thing that I heard was that it was just super hot. It seemed like it cooled down a little bit as the night went on, but overall, what's the feedback that you've heard?
For what it was, I think it was great. It was really cool to be in a dome like that. It did set the atmosphere a little bit in a different way. But I have nothing bad to say about it. I mean, it's a good spot. There's plenty of space. It, for the older folks that are there having to stand that long, kind of sucks, but that you got to take some, lose some, give and take scenario.
Yeah, and I assume that you've got to be really excited to jump back in and fight for NEF 45. Is there anyone that comes to mind that you'd like to get in there and tangle with, or do you just want to make sure that you have a fight regardless of who it is?
It's making sure I got a fight. I got school in January. I paid all my med stuff, so I want to get as many fights in before school starts. So at this point, it's just finding decent opponents that are well matched, and going from there. So I don't have anybody in specific to call out or anything. To be honest, it's kind of silly, but like I don't follow too much. I have my kids. I go to work, do my thing, and go to class to train. And when they're like, "Hey, we got somebody for you to fight," I'll be like, "Okay," So it's
okay. Going with the flow. I like it. One thing that I wanted to get your take on, which I always find really interesting, some fighters you see have really extensive amateur backgrounds and they have 10, 15 fights. You didn't take much time in the amateur ranks. We were 1, 2, and 1 as an amateur. So, I mean, that's 4 fights. And now here you are 2-0 as a pro. What went behind the decision to turn pro so quickly? And what's the change for like just how much better you look right now? Not to say that you look bad then, but you clearly are an evolved fighter at this point.
Yeah. For me, it was really not being able to utilize, everything that's at my disposal. So I felt kind of trapped when I'm not able to use elbows or knees to the face, or not really be able to fight. I felt like, and it was definitely throwing my game off, because immediately I'd be like, oh, I can't do that, and I'd back away from it, and that's a lot of mental brain power in a fight that you don't want to store all of that thought. So I talked to John. We pretty much were like, hey, if I can last 3 rounds with Devin Corson slamming me around, like there's no reason why I can't go pro. So we kind of took that and made the decision, and it's definitely, worked in my favor. There's more of my body I can utilize, and every day that I train and just get better. I got great coaches, great teammates, and it's really just paying attention to yourself and getting the grind on.
Is there a takeaway from that loss to Devin other than just maybe a size difference? I mean, I know he's a super muscular guy and he's a great wrestler. Is that really the only thing that you can take from it, is maybe you couldn't utilize all of the weapons that you normally would have at your disposal, and just the size difference? Are those the two things that maybe stand out there?
So I definitely froze up in that fight. Looking at his size, he's an intimidating guy. I'm not gonna lie. When we were at weigh-ins, I was just like, okay, that's not bad. Whatever. Like, it looks like he can bang. But then when he stepped in the cage, a few pounds heavier, I was like, dang. So, I froze up a lot. I feel I took away that I need to definitely focus on my posture. I was very upright, so he was taking me down at will. I wasn't matching his levels, the level changing, and I wasn't level changing myself. So, that's something that I've worked on adamantly to make sure that if a takedown at some point comes, I'm able to defend that. So I'm constantly, changing my level, and I'm staying ready for that at any moment, and also working the ground game. So.
Who are some of your main training partners at First Class?
Oh my goodness. So for this camp was Ryan Savage, who had an awesome fight. Even though he got clips, like the guy's an animal. I expressed my gratitude to him. He has clinicals 10, 12 hours a day, comes in his scrubs, and, goes, 5 to 10 rounds, even, 5-minute rounds with me, and he doesn't quit. I don't get how a guy can do that. That's awesome. So I really appreciate him. There's, I roll with everybody in First Class. John does the wrestling. Chris McBean does the jiu-jitsu. Felipe Gunther, we sparred a lot. He's very, very technical. So it's good to, get his reads, and his speed and his accuracy are, he looks good when he fights, and it, you feel it too. So yeah, it was mostly Ryan and Felipe. There's a few others that, came in and worked out, but those were the two main guys.
Obviously, I've known John Rayo for a little while. He's a great guy, outside of the cage, a family man, very, very, well-spoken, just a humble guy. Talk about what makes him such a great coach, because we've seen him compete inside of the cage. I've never seen him, instructing students, like, personally. So talk a little bit more about, like, why he's such a good coach, and what makes First Class kind of the standout gym that it is.
Well, first off, they come with, open arms. It's a family there, and they do more than, help you out. They're there. I've expressed over social media that, he's lend out a hand to, multiple people when they are down and out, helping them out. The guy's he's a genuine guy. And he loves combat sports. He loves being a coach, and it really shows when you go to the gym. He's really passionate about it, and that keeps the motivation and determination of the fighters and the people that go to the gym, because when you sense someone's passion like that, you feed off of it, and I have kids, and them allowing the kids to come every class, and they're off in the corner playing, and it's nice that it's not a worry or bothersome to them. And his training, his wrestling camps and stuff like that are great. I mean, it's nothing but a grind and drilling. You take a lot out of it, and we have some good people to train with, and people that cross train with us. So, I mean, it's very diverse, and John makes it. He checks people's egos and stuff at the door before they come in, so everybody's comfortable. Um, and yeah, it's just a great place, family oriented, and everybody there is very respectful, and it just makes it enjoyable to go.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the best gyms in the area for sure. Again, Jacob Deppmeyer, 2-0 as a pro. Huge win over Aaron Hughes this past Saturday at NEF 44. I appreciate the interview here, speaking to you for the first time. Before I let you go, man, tell people where to follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, any sponsors, the floor is yours.
Yep. You just find me on my Facebook, Jake Depp. I'm getting a little fight page going and stuff, because it's all new to me. I just was doing it for fun, and now it's just like gaining momentum. So I'll be working on that and let everybody know. But Jake Depp, definitely a thanks to everybody at the gym that works hard. John, Chris, Ryan Savage, my girlfriend for putting up with me during that weight cut. It was rough. So yeah, just everybody involved, and thank you NEF for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah,